The Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie came out the summer of 1995, and the hype was huge for us kids at the time. And this movie was accompanied by a massive tie-in campaign. There were toys and action figures from Bandai, food tie-ins with brands like 7-Up and Kellogg's, and 4 different video games for various Nintendo and Sega consoles and handhelds. The Power Rangers were everywhere during the summer of 1995. There was no escaping the Rangers. And why would you? It was fun for a kid in the 90s being surrounded by MMPR merchandise and promotions. And now, 30 years later, it's fun to look back and reminisce about the Power Ranger phenomenon of 1995. Let's get into it. When you make a movie based on the most popular kids show of the time, you have to make a tie-in campaign with the biggest fast food brand in the world, McDonald's. And for this movie, they made one of the best fast food toy lines ever made. And they were action figures of each Power Ranger, and they each came with their own sword. And yes, they were action figures. McDonald's made Power Ranger action figures. To be more precise, they were 3.75-inch scale action figures, and they were 5 POA, or 5 points of articulation. So posing was limited, but for the price of just $1.59, they were amazing. I have them all here in the back on display, and they look amazing on the shelf. I only had this one as a kid, the White Ranger, but a couple of years ago, 5, 6, 7 years ago, I bought the entire set on eBay, and that's a purchase that I will never regret because they are amazing. McDonald's also had Happy Meal toys. They had the Power Coin, the Power Morpher, a Power Siren, and an alien detector. And they were cool enough, I suppose, but the memorable toy line for most people was the one outside the Happy Meal. And I ranked these figures even higher than many other iconic McDonald's lines that include action figures, like the Batman the Animated Series line and the He-Man 2002 line, just to name a few. This may just be the best McDonald's fast food toy line ever. It's certainly my favorite. Let's keep going with food tie-ins. 7-Up had cans of each Power Ranger, and if you bought cases of the 7-Up, you could collect the trading cards. And if you saved up your proofs of purchase, you could get the 7-Up movie poster. And if memory serves me correctly, I did get that poster. I don't remember how I got it, like where you had to go to take your proofs. I honestly, it's a little blurry right now, but I'm pretty sure I had that poster. And there was a sweepstakes where you could win all sorts of toys and other merchandise from the movie. I won nothing, but at least I got the poster. And JELL-O gelatin boxes came with trading cards, and they look cool. Same goes for the 7-Up cards. And some countries had Ranger items inside Frito Lays products. We had something called the Sabritoings. It's hard to describe them. They weren't Pogs or Tazos. They were an oblong shape, and if you bent them and created a base, you could send them flying. You would put your finger on the base, and then pull the other part back, and then let go, and it would go flying, like a projectile. My brother told me that he was playing with one at school in the classroom, and it flew up and landed on the ceiling and got stuck between the plafones, and it did not come down. Before I forget, we have to talk about Frosted Flakes, or rather Frosties, because Kellogg's did a tie-in campaign with the movie, where if you sent in your proofs of purchase, you would get 6 figurines via the mail. And it was pretty cool seeing Tony the Tiger in a Power Rangers commercial. Time for the toys. Action figure time. Bandai time. Bandai made an action figure line for the movie. Of course they did. Why wouldn't they, considering how much the toys from the show sold? But they cheapened out with the Rangers. They didn't do brand new figures from the ground up. They retooled the Auto-Morphin ones and gave them a shiny new paint job. The torsos seem to be new and smaller, since they don't have the Auto-Morphin feature, but the arms and legs seems like they were the same, they were reused, and they look weird. The proportions are off, so I never got them as a kid. I still don't own them. The monsters are pretty cool though, and most if not all of those were brand new, since the movie had new enemies like Ivan Ooze and the Tengu Warriors, so they had no choice but to make new sculpts for those creatures. But for the Rangers, reuse, reuse, reuse. I did get the new sword for Christmas. It was my first and only sword from Bandai, and I loved playing with it. I wish I had footage of me opening that on Christmas Day. I may have pictures, I'm not sure, I have to look. I at least have footage of me opening the N64 in 1996, and the GameCube in the early 2000s, but no sword sadly. I also got some of the bendable figures from Gordy Toys. I believe I had the Ivan the Ooze and the sidekicks. I want to share a little story now. I have to mention that I didn't have many of the Bandai figures of the Rangers themselves from the show. I had a ton of the enemies, but only a few Rangers. I had Billy and Trini, I think, the Auto-Morphin ones. The Rangers I had were the bendable ones from Gordy. And for a long time I only had the Rangers, no enemies, so I would have them fighting each other. In fact, I used that little Tyke's chair over there as like a battle arena where they would fight each other. And one day my brother came from the mall and he gave me Lord Zed and he goes, "Here you go, so the Rangers don't have to fight each other anymore." And if memory serves me correctly, Goldar was the second enemy I got as a gift. I almost forgot that Bandai also made small figurines. They were about 2 inches in size, and for the size and for the complexity of them, they're pretty cool. Time for the video games. They made at least 4 video games: Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, Sega Game Gear, and Game Boy. The Genesis one followed the movie's plot. It had you fighting Ooze monsters and eventually Ivan Ooze himself. Some stages had you playing as a ranger, others had you using the swords to fight big kaijus. And at one point the game flashbacks to season 2 of the show to show you how they transitioned from Jason, Trini, and Zack into the new team of Adam, Rocky, and Aisha. The SNES game did not follow the movie's story. It was based mostly on the show, the exception being the one boss fight against Ivan Ooze, which is what the game's box says, featuring Ivan Ooze. But that was it. No Tengu Warriors, no Ooze monsters, none of that. Just Ivan Ooze. And the Game Gear game is divided into 2 parts. The first half is all based on the show, but the second half of the game is about the movie. And yes, this one has sword levels too, just like the Genesis version. Now the Game Boy game, unlike the Super Nintendo game, it doesn't make you play as the Rangers in their civilian clothes at the start of each level. It has you play as them in their ninja outfits first, and then you open up or you level up into the Ranger costume at some point in every stage. There was a CD-ROM series for PC that had things like digital painting and the Movie Maker, among other things. I know those aren't video games, but they are interactive, so it makes sense to mention them in this part of the video. More importantly, I have to bring up the most recent Rangers video game, Rita's Rewind. It might seem a bit off topic since it's a recent game and not a movie-related game from 1995, but I have to mention it, because if you haven't played Rita's Rewind yet, you really should. And there's tons of other recent beat-em-ups worth your time, like Shredder's Revenge and Streets of Rage 4. Fleer put out trading cards. I didn't have them, but they look really nice from what I'm seeing online. I wish I did buy some. And there were a ton of books, like the coloring books, the activity books, and storybooks too. And there was some behind the scenes stuff like magazines and the scrapbook. And that one I own, the scrapbook. My brother got me the scrapbook a few years ago. It has plenty of behind the scenes pics, promotional pictures, and much more. And of course there was a sticker album from Merlin, and I loved playing with sticker albums back in the day when I was a kid. I had a ton of them, like Space Jam, The Mask, Rugrats, Dragon Ball, Spider-Man, Batman, and more. And there was clothing too, like t-shirts, shoes, and watches. The movie came out on VHS later that year, and that's how I watched it, because I didn't watch it in the movie theater. And I watched it many times for several months. And I had the tendency back then to watch a new movie over and over again to the point that I got sick of it. And that year also saw the soundtrack come out on CD and cassette tape, and there was a music video for the Trouble song by the duo Shampoo. And more recently, Shout Factory put the movie out on Blu-ray. Same goes for the second one, a Turbo movie. All local stations of the networks were covering it across the country. Print Media also covered the movie. Fox aired the special behind the scenes on TV. And my brother tells me that QVC had an hour-long special where they sold merchandise from the movie. I can't find any footage of that special, but I did find some from a 1994 special they did. And before I forget, Discovery Zone had a promotion with Power Rangers where you could have Power Rangers themed parties at their locations. Over the years, many companies have made newer merchandise based on this movie. Bandai did a 5-inch scale line of figures in the mid-2010s as part of the Legacy line, and Funko recently made some Funko Pops based on the movie. And Mini-Mates were made by Diamond Select Toys. And Loyal Subjects made a blind bag figure line based on the movie some years ago too. But it's a shame that Hasbro never made any Lightning Collection figures based on this movie. I have a few Lightning Collection figures over here on display. It would have been really cool to have Ivan Ooze here, the new Sidekicks, the Tengu Warriors. Well, we did get the Tengu Warriors because they're on the show too, but we didn't get the Ooze Warriors, etc. Hopefully Playmates at some point tackles this movie for the new Reignition line. By the time the movie came out, the Power Rangers had been dominating television and toy aisles for about 2 years already. The show started in 1993, and it became popular pretty much overnight. So when they made the movie, they went big. The movie was ambitious, and as you saw in this video, the tie-ins and the merchandise was big too. We had a lot to choose from when it came to what we wanted to get that year. Everyone's birthday and Christmas list were full of Ranger items, and we were eating and drinking Ranger products so we could get our hands on trading cards, posters, mail-away figures, and even try to win some sweepstakes. So yeah, the tie-ins were fun, but so was the movie. But it had a very different vibe from the show, very much on purpose by the directors, the producers, and the writers. Brian Spicer wanted the movie to be its own thing, separate from the continuity of the show, and not limited in any way by trying to recreate the show's look and adhere to every detail of its canon. And I think they made the right choice. It made the movie stand out and be unique and different and have its own vibe and identity. It probably confused us a bit as kids. We weren't used to different canons, a multiverse, and reboots back then. And sure, some character redesigns could have been better, and I prefer how Lord Zed and Goldar, among others, look on the show. But the movie still has a very cool look. It's shiny, it's sleek, and the new costumes are cool, both the Ranger costumes and the Ninjetti costumes. And Ivan Ooze was a fun new villain, and Paul Freeman did a great job portraying this colorful and very over-the-top villain. And it was fun seeing the Rangers in a piece of media that had high production value, because the show was obviously very low budget. This was all shot brand new, so it didn't have the visual clash the show had, since the TV series mixes American footage with the Toei footage from Japan. So yeah, I liked the movie back then, and I still enjoy it. I'm not saying the movie is perfect. The CG has aged poorly, and it has some annoying sound effects a bit too often, and I don't know why they felt the need to add that kid friend to the Rangers, but I think its pros outweigh the cons. The movie is fun and colorful, it has enjoyable fights and stunts, and it has a lot of heart, and can be genuinely emotional and sweet at times. And I rewatched it when the Blu-ray came out from Shout Factory, and I had a lot of fun with it. And I even rewatched MMPR The Show 5 years ago, and I had a blast. Actually, I had a marathon of 12 to 13 seasons of the Rangers, and it was extremely enjoyable. And I will remember this movie, the tie-ins, the toys, and the summer of 1995 for the rest of my life. Thank you for watching the video, it means a lot, and we had fun making it, and we hope you had fun watching it, and we hope it brought you some nostalgia about 1995 and the Power Rangers. Also, we wanted to let you know that this is not our first hype, tie-ins, and toys video. We've made 2 already, one for Revenge of the Sith, and one for Batman Forever. They're recent videos, so they're easy to find on our channel, and you could always go into our playlist. We have a lot of different playlists for your convenience, so they're easy to find, and we really hope you guys check them out. We would really appreciate it. And if you like the Power Rangers and pop culture, nerd culture, TV, movies, video games, comics, toys, and if you're a nostalgic person who loves the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, the 70s, etc., then this is your channel. Feel free to subscribe, and we'll see you next time.